Good morning, everybody. What's happening? I am Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. So, say hi to some people. What do you think? Start this thing off. Sandy Wendy, good to see you. Roberta, what's happening? Hey, Rona Cooley, glad that you're here. Let's see. Bubbles, what's up? Jane Aldrich, good to see you. I live for now. Kristen Melinda, howdy, how are you? Good to see you. Incarnasol, glad you're here. Dee Dee Razzle Dazzle. Bayou Babe. Ladybug Melissa, what's happening? You know what, people? This is getting creepier by the second. Wait till you see. Millie the Dandelion, Allison Metcalf Palumbo, how are you? Glad you're here. Hey, Spike Z. Hey, Kim White. Kim White, glad you're here. Zal, Storm, Lynn, Sanity. Just as I am is here. Mousy, what's happening? Mr. or would that be Mrs. Hydrox? Mrs. Hydrox. Hi, how are ya? Gonna help me out with the phonetic below. I appreciate that. Not the sharpest tool in the shed. In fact, take Tony's Hooter. I said Tony's Shooter, I think, for about, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks. Tony's Hooter, what's happening? How are you, my friend? Glad you're here. Malbakai, we're on a roll. These are all names I screwed up for months. Caroline in Canada, good to see you. Dale Cox, what's happening? Hope you're having a good day. West Coast Fancy Nancy, sneaking in to say hi. All right. I like it. Brandon Calloway, good to see you, man. Kathy Ann, I appreciate you stopping by, even if you can't stay long. B Minor, good to see you. Purple Groovy, what's happening? Hey, Tammy Shelton, Love Mama Bear, Sandy Bowers, Vanessa, good to see you. Mittens, 1970, Deanna T, what's happening? Marjan, Mousy. You know what, people? There's a lot of different ways. Johnny Scoville's lurking, apparently. There's a lot of different ways that you can look at this thing in terms of when I say, is this the tip of the iceberg, and how deep does this twisted crap go? This is there are some statements that were made in the Little Rod lawsuit that, and as we've said in the past, the Little Rod lawsuit, as well as the one that Cassie filed, seem to be paralleling the government's case against Diddy. Looks like they basically took this stuff and started to prove it, right? And that's where we're at. Well, he bragged about not spending his money on anything. These were some really high dollar parties, right? And he wasn't spending any of his money on that. He bragged that that this was all done by big labels and executives and such. Linda Burton, good to see you. ASAP Lizzie, what's happening? Hello, Joanne Ventrilla. Tribe Called Duff, how you been? You know something? Very interesting. It wouldn't be the only parallel between the Bad Boy crew and the Royal Order of Justice. And we're going to talk about this because, hey, Awakened by the Looking Glass, good to see you. We're going to talk about this because this, people, I think is what I'm getting at. Honestly, I think this is what I'm getting at. This is twisted, right? This is twisted. And what happens, folks, is that, yeah, Universal allegedly, all of these big labels dropped a ton of money to throw these parties, right? Where allegedly a lot of people who were underage were brought into these parties, and a lot of foul stuff went on. That was recorded, right? And we've all talked about this a million times, right? This was a blackmail scheme. This was a way to control people. You know something that is a recurring theme, and we've talked about this, but I'll tell you what, it just keeps coming back up and coming back up and coming back up. What are the odds? Seriously, what are the odds that everybody seems to be gay or bisexual that has anything to do with this, right? This is some kind of a control. I don't know whether you'd call it a cult. It's certainly a control group, but the allegations of what's going on and the number of people that are getting a lot of mirth, says a Tribe Called Duff. The number of people who are getting caught up in this, and the number of people that are getting caught up in this that go across all genres. This isn't just hip hop anymore, right? This is this is really all over the place. The whole Diddy party thing. There was a lot to be made back in the 90s of the whole there ain't no party like a Diddy party. The people who said this are all running and hiding. You can't turn on your computer, right? If you, and I know you guys, we're all big red button people. Right? We all spend a decent amount of time surfing, and you cannot turn on the big red button without finding 6 or 7 new names that we're going to be linked directly to a freak off, right? I got to be honest with you. Hello, Martha. I think 90% of what you're hearing is BS. Hey, Lumen, good to see you. Lori, what's happening? I think 90% of what we're hearing is BS. You will hear, right, allegedly that the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and his wife basically were pimping out their son to a lot of people, including Diddy. And allegedly, there's a video of father, son, and Diddy at a freak off. If you didn't throw up in your mouth a little bit there, I don't know, you got lucky. Big Bits Ben Turner, how are you? Heather, good to see you. Kathy, good to see you as well. That's some of the most foul stuff you're ever going to hear in your life, right? And you go, come on, dummy, right? This is ridiculous. Okay, allegedly, right? But it's ridiculous. Obviously, there's no chance of this happening, right? Well, if you try to stick your tongue down your kid's throat on during interviews on multiple occasions, then when somebody starts saying allegedly that there's some stuff out there on film that could be, cross those kind of lines, well, it doesn't seem all that ridiculous anymore, does it? Or does anybody remember the photo that was taken of there's a very disturbing photo of one of their kids at the age of 13 laying with her head on the thigh of a guy who was about 20. And it just, a lot of people found it kind of disturbing, and they sort of said, hey, it's just art. But there was a whole lot of doubling down, right? There was a whole lot of, we're not backing off of any of this. In fact, we think it's lovely. And there's a whole lot of sickness around that family. Allegedly, we're not. It doesn't necessarily, all of us have witnessed a lot of that being weird without being anywhere close to that family. I don't think it's a real struggle to think that the Smith family is probably going to have to spend a decent amount of money in counseling. What do you think? A Tribe Called Duff says, I can't stand the Smiths' way of life. That was gross. I'll tell you something. Hello, Arabian Bar. I'll tell you something. It's absolutely foul. I'm sorry, man. I don't kink shame, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I may not groove to it, but you do what you do. That's not that. This isn't that. This isn't that. This is about as foul, right, as anything you could wrap your brain around. You can't make this up, right? ASAP Lizzie says, sorry, but when it comes to the Pickett Smiths, I can't rate anything off anymore. There's a lot of smoke, right? There's a lot of smoke. And this is one of those cats that allegedly had a lot of people that would stay at the house that he was mentoring into what the hell, who knows? Whatever they were getting mentored into, no bueno, right? No good at all. Whatever the hell was going on there was creepy. I don't think anybody can, anyone, allegedly, people literally ran screaming from the tutelage. Now, I will say this. The person that likes to yell about that the loudest is Jaguar, right? And I've spoken about her many times here before. I find her incredibly entertaining. I really do. I don't have any idea if what she's saying is 100% accurate or 50% accurate or 30% accurate. Honestly, I don't know. I know that she definitely was closer to that situation than I would be. Hey, Jody, what's happening? Right? Considerably closer to that than I would ever be. However, I will also say this, and I'm not trying to necessarily bust anybody's chops, but she's a professional in how she delivers everything. If you watch her interviews, her deliveries look like maybe it was done in 10 takes. It's so perfect always. You know how she'll whisper at the right spots, and she will get indignant at the right spots, and the curses will come, and you just get a feeling, man, that she's probably rehearsed this puppy a lot. And if she isn't, then she's just an incredible storyteller. And I don't mean that in the sense of lying like storyteller. I just mean her ability to communicate is second to none. And I find it entertaining as hell. I wonder, you know, it seems like the longer that the interviews go, the longer she's had the opportunity to talk. Some of the stuff just starts to get a little bit more fantastic, things that we didn't know, people that maybe she saved from places. And there's some stuff that's been said, again, allegedly. I dig that word, by the way. I really dig the word allegedly. I mean, most of the time. If you're doing a lot of drugs and drinking, you can be coerced into things like freak offs. You know something? I mean, this is true. Absolutely, this is true. Now, and you know something? If that's a decision you make in life, people have made bad decisions. I've made a lot of bad decisions myself while drinking and doing drugs. However, if somebody is drugging you, right, and these decisions are being made, that is, and that's where we're at on this, right? And boy, allegedly, some of the stuff that is coming out, right? All of us have heard the phone call made from prison. Suge Knight has a podcast that he does from the feds. How about that? He's in federal prison, but he's got a podcast going. You gotta love somebody that's working, getting the job done even from the inside. He tells a fairly horrific story. We're all adults here, right? When I do the little monetization thing, I write on there, this is not a channel for kids. Feel me? It's not, right? So, but he talks about a story with an egg test that is done for these artists to be able to sign, allegedly, with these labels, particularly Diddy's label, where a person would have to drop their trousers and bend over and see if a raw egg could be inserted into their backside. If it broke, they were sent back out to put more work in so that they would be ready for, I guess, whatever was going to happen to them in order for them to work at the label. I know that these stories are freaking amazing and they're colossal, and the more far out they are, the more people are going to listen to them, right? That's legit. However, I don't think that this number of stories and this many different people coming forward can all be BS. People make stuff up. The internet is absolutely incredible when it comes to people just making stuff up. Jody Sutherland, longtime lurker, first time commenting. Wow, very cool. Welcome. I think it's pretty incredible. We all know that the internet is just foul as hell. Right? And a lie can go from here to the other side of the planet that fast. What's hard to come up with is video, right? There's, the people who are saying, because you're going to hear this and you're going to hear more of it and more of it. This is a modern day lynching of a guy that was a very successful businessman, and they're going after him because of the fact that he has been a success. This is an industry that they want to stomp on. You're going to hear a lot of theories about why they're going after this guy. Don't forget the video, right? Please don't forget the video of him beating on Cassie. When you're hearing all of these things about, everybody does what he does. This is what all this. Please don't forget the video of this guy beating his then girlfriend. And I don't think we need to say allegedly, do we? Right? We all watched this video. But allegedly, she was trying to get away from a freak off. Stick around. I want to watch people have sex with you. You're not leaving. Who knows how long this has been going on, because these things allegedly went on for days. So maybe after 6-7 hours of this, she'd like out. Think about this for a second. I'm sorry, people. In my wildest of days, right? And I've done a lot of drugs in my life. In my wildest of days, the concept of having sex for 2 days is terrifying. I'm sorry, it is. Does not sound like fun to me. If you're watching and you're 18, you may go, yeah, Tommy, you don't know what you're talking about. And maybe I don't. But at my age, I think the idea is you know, couple of days over the course of a decade. I don't know. I also wonder how Tommy got my ex's girlfriend's vehicle in his room. Is that your ex's? You know something, Bacon Bits? He says, I also wonder how Tommy got my ex-girlfriend's vehicle in the room in the background there. Of course, he's referring to the Nimbus 2000. Actually, it may resemble that, but that's from the old Quidditch days. Lori Abs, good to see you. How are you? Glad that you are here. Really. You like the Hatter's hat? Yeah, that's there. It's got the. I'm big on the Mad Hatter. I'm bigger on all things Alice in Wonderland. I really am. I'm big on all of that. Willard Wright says, you think if Sean Combs is offered to give evidence on JayZ and Beyonce for the unaliving of JayZ's pregnant mistress, knowing his informant and snitch, he'll do it. I'll tell you what. I think that we're going to get to a point where you can be really delusional. This happens. I promise you. I've gone to court. Right. You spend the time in this kind of delusional haze where you think, we're going to get away with this. My attorney's going to. Reality begins to set in. Right. He's going to start getting that feeling that this is not. It's not going the way he hopes, because I promise you it's not going to. Hey, Kiki. So what's going to happen is his attorney has to come to him and say, look, man, has to, by the way, there are other options, right? You realize maybe you could try to, if you got some people you could give up because you're looking at a lot of time. And right now they're putting up a really good front, right? That attorney's walking out and he's telling the world, this man is innocent, right? He loves his kids. We saw the video. We also saw how beautifully he could lie about the video 24 hours earlier, right? Just straight stare into the camera like, no big deal. No problem at all. And then the next day we see that. A couple of days later, he does the apology video, which, by the way, in the pantheon of apology videos, may be the ugliest one, that the worst I've ever seen. And I've seen some bad ones. So have you. Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis, not good, right? Pretty ugly. But his was just epic. Jeremy Shelton, there could be some truth to that. He's that kind of guy. He is that kind of guy. People, if you didn't catch that, you'll have to rewatch this and back it up, because it's funny. And Johnny Scoville says, you need care, Shelton, and boy, you do. Vixen, good to see you. What's happening? Good to see you. You know, the truth is this. Nothing at this point is surprising any of us. And that is the problem. That is the problem. At this point, nobody is shocked by anything except stuff like this. I thought there would be more arrests by now, right? Love the channel, watching from Ireland. Thank you. We're going to see the arrests. You remember when they kicked the doors in at his house, and a couple of weeks would go by and people would say, man, I told you, nothing's going to happen to him, man. And I said, relax. I'm telling you, they're building a case. The feds do not come at you unless you're already done. If they start coming at you, you are in a lot of trouble. You are in a heap of trouble. And what the amount of evidence that they're talking about in discovery, I was reading through some stuff yesterday. We're talking about terabytes of information. Terabytes. So this, hey, let's do this in May, sounds really good. I don't think the safe money. And I had predicted June for picking a jury. I'm going to stick with it, but I don't think it's probably going to be later. There's so much information to go through. According in Little Rod's lawsuit, he claims that at one point he was, I think it had something to do with DoorDash, but he was looking to go somewhere because there was somebody delivering something, and he came across that room that basically showed all of the different cameras in the house. And he said that there were like 6 big screens back there. And on every one of these flat screen TVs, there were like 30 smaller pictures on every one of them. And they were all different rooms, right? That's 180 freaking cameras. Now, that might just be cycle one, right? Maybe he hits a button and it goes to the next. Who knows? But if that's all there is, can you imagine how much stuff there probably is backing this stuff up? It's unbelievable. Gary Meek says, question, how effective are NDAs in this situation? I'll tell you what. An NDA is only as good as as what the NDA is basically backing up. In other words, I had an affair, right? And we signed an NDA and I give you some cash and you say, I'm not going to let anyone in the world know about this affair, right? That's all good. That's enforced. That's what an NDA is. I say, by the way, during that affair, I beat that woman up every Friday. I used chains. I filmed it, right? I brought men over to do it. Okay, that's different, right? Now that an NDA does not hold up if what you're asking someone to shut up about is a crime, right? That doesn't fly. Non-disclosure agreements you cannot make that happen. And the proof of that, would be that beautiful lawsuit from Cassie. Cassie's lawsuit, right? Pay $30 million. So allegedly, because we don't know the exact amount. Boy, they all say it's that 30 million mark, though, isn't it? I mean, that has got to be the number that just keeps coming up, right? But allegedly, within the first 24 to 48 hours, he kicks her down $30 million. And then what happens? Every single thing in there is now getting investigated and prosecuted. And Shannon Smith nails it, right? Illegal makes it different. It makes it worthless. But it's awfully nice if they can cash out that big money grab right beforehand. The idea, I think, you want to keep it out of the press, right? Maybe somehow you can, not in this day and age, man. Not in this day and age. You realize, like in the old days, maybe you could get away with that. But in this day and age, if you get booked, right? Let's say I get arrested. I get picked up. I get put in the back of a police car. I get transported down. From the time I enter that building, I'm passing by a camera about every 20 feet. That camera is going somewhere. If I'm famous, there are dudes in there just going click, click. They can take a picture of me at every single time I'm walking down the hall handcuffed. And those pictures are worth cash. There are companies out there that will pay huge money for those kinds of pictures. So, and you could pay a non-disclosure agreement. If this thing ends up with people getting arrested, the whole world's going to know about it. Charlie Mullins, what's happening, my brother? Hello, Karen. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Hold on, people. Sorry. Oh my God. Oh, Misha, I'm so sorry. I really am. I'm so sorry. Thoughts and prayers, please, going out to Awakened by the Looking Glass. That is a horrific story. Oh my God. That's awful. That really is. That is awful. Yeah, the Diddy has settled in the number of times he's handed cash out to people for the purpose of settling these suits, one right after the other. It's absolutely pathetic. It really is. The point is, it's not going to help because all of the stuff that we're talking about on here is illegal. Virtually everything, right? And we're talking about the kind of illegal that in order to cut deals on. Hello, Carol. In order to cut deals on, this is going to be a very, very, he's going to have to give up somebody of epic size. Normally, you don't see people fish downward, if that makes sense, right? They want you to give up names of people. And I think there are names out there, right? Allegedly, Universal Music, right? Universal Music Group, that they've been mentioned. There's a lot of different people above him that he could cut deals for. And allegedly, there's video out there of a lot of those executives sitting in recording studios with people that are with individuals who are sex workers, people who are getting paid for this, right? Allegedly, that's what these pictures are purported to show. But this is visual evidence. You understand what I'm saying? Visual. This is the kind of thing that where he has an opportunity to cut deals, but he better get on it, right? And he better get on it quickly. This is not the kind of thing that if you stick around, the longer that they build this case against you, the less likely they're going to be to want to cut a deal. That's the reality. But what I was getting at when I said, is this the tip of the iceberg? There are names that are getting brought up. And every single time these names get brought up, the stories that are associated with these people are identical to the same things that you're hearing about Diddy. In every one of these cases, there's a powerful guy in the industry who is basically forcing men into sexual, basically forcing people into relationships in order to get contracts, in order to progress through the industry. It's pretty foul, but it keeps coming up no matter where this thread takes you. It's the same damn story, right? Allegedly, right? Because all these people deny this, but allegedly, whether it's Quincy Jones or whether it's, every single time a name comes up, it's always the same thing. There can't be that much smoke and not have there be some fire. Question: what do you think JayZ being in a lot of pictures with Diddy? Well, here's the thing. So this is the deal with as far as as far as JayZ and Diddy go. One is Sean Carter, right? That would be JayZ, and the other is Sean Combs. According to them, the only people alive that they allow themselves to call Sean would be each other. So Diddy calls him Sean. He calls Diddy Sean. No one else does except Diddy's mom. And he's bragged about this in the press. This has come up many times in the past. So yeah, I think that they're close friends, and allegedly they were in an awful lot of freak-offs together. I have not had an invite yet with Poe on the go. I'm going to be reaching out to him, Caroline, in Canada. I have spoken with the gentleman over at the Sean Atwood program, and I will be going on the Sean Atwood show again, and I will let you know by the end of the day exactly when. It's going to be after the weekend. I would imagine it's going to be either Monday or Tuesday. I just don't know what time yet. Pretty sure it's going to be Monday, but I was talking about them this morning. Shannon Smith, you're right. It's probably not the right way to put it. Not relationships. They put themselves above people, into really. It's a frightening concept to use that as a way to control people, and the kind of money that gets made. Right, the kind of money that these people throw around is absolutely remarkable. This is the kind of money that makes people do really foul things. And I guess to become a part of this is what is being alleged everywhere, is that to become a part of this club, you are going to sell your soul. Now, you can take that any way you want, right? Whether you take that literally or figuratively or whatever, but you're going to do things that you never wanted to do. You're going to do things that you never imagined yourself doing. They want you to compromise yourself. And in doing so, you're pledging yourself, allegedly, to this little cabal that is going to ensure that your career takes off. You're going to make good money, right? This is what they allege. And you've heard them. Watch the big red button. You will find, the number of videos talking about this right here is incredible. Rosanna, Diana, good to see you. Thank you, Sandy Bowers. I really had a lot of fun going on with Sean. He's got a great show. I really I enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to going back on. I am. I think that we got to watch this. I think that we have to watch this going forward again, really with a critical eye, right? Really with a critical eye. We're seeing people we're seeing this subject matter get into the like the top echelons of media, right? Like the people that actually, the people you think of when you think of media, right, are talking about this ad nauseum, right? And they're bringing people on to do interviews, and we're already seeing interviews where people have got to back the hell up what they said, right? You better back up because what you said is offending people, or what you said isn't backed up. The Jaguar incident that just happened where dude had to come out and say, hey, you know what? She said some stuff on here. This is a cottage friggin' industry. And I know it's probably funny because I'm doing a ton of content on it, but keep it real. This is a cottage industry. The reason I'm doing content on it is because people want to hear it, right? Really. And there's so much BS out there that it's unbelievable. Katy Perry said in an interview with a therapist that she sold her soul to the devil. Do you have any idea the number of people that you can look up who claim that they have sold their soul to the devil? I'm not doing a show. Just telling you to go ahead and give that a look sometime. There are a lot of people now. They, literally, figuratively. The point is this: if you believe X, Y, and Z, and they say in order to work this program, in order to make the money, in order to be a part of this, if this is you want to join this club, this is what you're going to do. And the things that you're asking you to do go against everything you believe in. Well, that's selling your soul. Call it whatever the hell you want, right? But it's selling your soul. Hey, Rebecca Simpson, I'm glad you made Alive. I really am glad you made Alive. It's this is one of those situations. Right? People are doing things to get into this industry that they never, ever would have done, right? Never would have done willingly. Andrew B says the stars are falling from the sky. They really are, aren't they? They really are, aren't they? And you know what I think people are realizing? A lot of people, maybe for the first time, that the biggest nightmare on planet Earth would have been to be one of those stars. Feel me? Ugly. I mean, let's keep it real. What's been going on? If half of what they're alleging is true, right? There's nobody listening to the sound of my voice right now that hasn't listened to everything that has been alleged by Cat Williams, everything that has been alleged by Jaguar Wright, right? All of these people who, again, their proximity to this is a hell of a lot closer to mine. Can you back any of it up? All you can do is say these people definitely were close enough to him to have an idea. And then there is the people that filed these lawsuits. They didn't show up with stacks of paperwork and say, honest, this is what they brought, receipts, right? Rodney Jones in particular brought a lot of stuff to back up the things he was saying. And it's going to be a very, very interesting, the devil wears wingtips. Yeah, he does. And they're probably made by Prada, or Louis, probably Louis. He definitely spent a grip of money. You know what, Rise Higher? I'm sorry. I really am. I need to do this. I apologize. I promised people a long time ago I was going to do chair yoga. I've got yoga that I did videos on. I need to do that, Rise Higher, and I will. I promise you. In fact, yeah, I promise you I will get on that. This is not a bad time of year to do it. Thank you. Yes. I will do that. Kristen Melinda says, if you're going to bargain with the devil, you better play a mean fiddle. And you know what? Sadly, he really, and all parties involved, sadly, right? All parties involved. No, here we go. The Pastor Shelton Encouragement Fund. And it starts. Yeah, that's great. You guys are funny. This is, I promise you, going to be the show of the century, right? This is going to be the show of the century. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to watch it. The fact that this is not going to be done inside, there are not going to be any cameras on the inside of this. This is going to be one of those things where we listen to people coming and we watch, some drawings that have been done. Boy, would I like to Boy, would I like to move to New York for this. I'm not even being funny. This would be, but getting in there every day would be almost impossible. Wendy Williams released a statement. It's about damn time. I'll tell you something. I have been waiting, and I've said this many times. I've been waiting for one or two stars, right, to poke a hole in this. It's not going to take too many people to step forward and go, you know what? And I'm not talking about people that were at parties but didn't go to the inner sanctum or any of that crap. I'm talking about people that just knew what the hell was going on, because according to everyone, allegedly, everybody knew. This wasn't a secret. There was nobody in the industry that didn't know this. They had been talking about what Diddy was into for a really long time, right? A really long time. And if he was allegedly doing all of these things with Kim Porter, right? This stuff goes back a long, long time. This freak has been doing this for how long? And I'll tell you what, man, the lifeboat, if you found me just because of this stuff, I talk about drugs more than anything. That's what we talk about here is drugs and staying sober. If he was dosing people with GHB as much as they say he was doing, and how he was doing it, right? Putting it in the baby oil, they're putting it in the drinks, they're putting it in the water. People had to have not made it. People had to have passed along the way. These are not safe substances, and if you're throwing them in alcohol, it's not a safe way to dole out. It's very unpredictable. They could drink off of 6 different glasses. You have no idea how much alcohol gets added, because alcohol heightens that crap. That whole old 1 + 1 = 3. You remember that old chestnut? When you mix these kind of things with alcohol, the effects don't double, they triple, right? Bad juju, man. Bad juju. And if he was using it at the rate that they say he was using it at, I'm telling you, man, there are some stiffs out there. I'm not trying to be cold, but I promise you, there are some people that didn't make it. How could there not be? How could there not be? Right? Allegedly, these things have been going on forever. Sorry, hold on. Well, thank you, Judy Lee. I really appreciate that. Oh, no, see, and it starts. I'll throw this out there just because the man's been known occasionally for slight bouts of wit. Good friend of the boat, longtime friend of the boat, says, "Rise up, all disco sins will be forgiven. With the help of Zeppelin, the Stones, a healthy dose of AC/DC, the path to redemption will come. You open arms." You know, the funny thing is, huge fan of everybody you just listed in there. And I mean that. Huge fan of every single artist that you just listed there. But I really dig the Bee Gees, and I'm surprised you didn't put ABBA in there as well, because ABBA is just amazing. Yeah, right? Adam Wood says, question, I wonder how many passed due to OD, right? See, look, this is what I'm saying, man. This is exactly my point. I don't know how much you know about these substances, man, but this is the kind of stuff that stops people's hearts. You guys remember River Phoenix, right? This stuff's no joke, man. This is a substance that stops people's hearts. And if it's that much a part of what he was doing all of the time, there had to have been people that OD'd that we don't know about, right? Or maybe we're not getting the whole story, man. Honestly, maybe we're not. I'll tell you, there's a lot of smoke, but when stories are this big, man, it freaks me out how fast this gets run with. Because I'll tell you something. If you wanted to find an impartial jury for this case, you'd have to go to Bangladesh, right? Honestly, like, where the hell are you going to find anybody in the U.S. of A. that does not have an opinion on this? Anywhere in this country, where are you going to find a dozen people? I would be very surprised if you could find 2. Question: what does GHB actually do? Knock you unconscious? depending on how much of it you take, right? It gives you a feeling that a lot of people used to compare to ecstasy, in that there was kind of this fun, kind of happy feeling, right? But with ecstasy, it's a fun, kind of happy feeling on the way up, because the base of it is methamphetamine, right? Methyl dioxymethamphetamine. So the meth in it keeps you up and ready to go, right? Well, gamma hydroxybutyric acid is the opposite, right? It's taking you down. So yeah, you get that feeling, but it's like instantly being shaffazed. Like you, instead of having 2 or 3 beers, you had 2 or 3 6-packs, and it doesn't take much. Like it'll kick in really quickly. And there is kind of that period of time where you can still kind of walk around and function and be somewhat coherent's not the right word, because you're going to black it out, but you could be somewhat available, right? It's not like you instantly just pass out. There's that period of time where you just sort of walk around, and it's just a horrific drug because it's so primed to do just what these asshats did with it. It's the kind of thing that would make somebody very easy to mess with. It's a terrible thing. It really is. A Tribe Called Duff says, I was spiked on GHB. Thankfully, my friends made sure I got home safely. It was horrible. My legs gave way. I couldn't do anything. My head was spinning. Yeah, this sounds about right. This sounds about right. Now, I'll tell you this. After GHB went away, and you didn't see, it went away as a street drug. It wasn't readily available anymore. There were these knockoff drugs that started to get sold online, right? There was a drug called furanone dihydro, right? And it did it felt just like what GHB felt like. And it got sold in a lot of like places like gyms, places where guys pumped a lot of iron. Same place, that's how G used to be sold to. But a lot of places would sell them, and they would come in these like 32-ounce bottles that you could legally buy, right? And you would take one shot of it, and it would do very much to you what G did. And I used to buy it because I had the absolute worst insomnia in the world, and I would do a shot of it, and I would go to sleep. And there was a night where I got ready to go do my thing, and I did the shot of it, and I went to bed, and a fire alarm went off, and I had to get up, and function and like get out, and it was a nightmare. I mean, it was a nightmare because I was, you're moving, but you're not moving. It's like you're along for the ride. It was horrifying. Definitely not stuff to be messed with, right? And allegedly, he messed with a lot of it. And it wasn't the only substance, right? There was a lot of MDMA as well, but there was just allegedly, everybody had to carry a fanny pack full of everything this dude was into, right? Including ketamine. Once again, ketamine, right? Give someone enough ketamine, and they're going to go out. They're going to get knocked the hell out. And then, people do to them what people do to them. This is so effed up, right? And it was all, I don't know, man. I really don't know. And allegedly, look at all of the people that kicked it with this dude that seemed to be friends with him. Now, is there a difference between a Diddy party and a freak off? Yeah, I guarantee you there was. But Diddy parties weren't normal either, right? Don't get it messed up. They were not normal. It's not like the parties that we used to go to. I promise you, man, it wasn't. It's a frightening thing. Dennis from Boston says, I just saw the movie Blink twice. It's just what Diddy did. Check it out. I am not familiar with this film, but I'm going to throw it up there because if it's what he did, I think everybody ought to check it out. That would be interesting, don't you think? Yeah, Mickey myself right to bed. Yep, to be absolutely. I used to. That was the only way I used to be able to get to sleep. It was really bad. So here's the deal. Question: isn't GHB also known as roofies? Roofies were a benzodiazepine, right? Called Rufinol. Some people would say. Some people called it Rohypnol, but it was fluinitrazepam. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Fluinitrazepam, somewhere along those lines. But it was a ridiculously strong benzo, and mixed with alcohol, it would just knock your memory out, and you were done. Right? I mean, overdone. So Roofies were taken off the market a long time ago. There's not a civilized country in the world that still makes them. But there are a whole family of drugs that kind of all get called roofies now, where they'll say she got roofied or he got roofied. It's kind of like saying a Kleenex, because every tissue is a Kleenex, even if it's made by another company. Roofies now kind of covers GHB. It covers all kinds of stuff. But roofies were benzos. GHB is not an opiate. No, it is not an opiate. It is it's basically the kind of drug that they give you for, it's more like an anesthetic, I think, than anything else. You know something? Pain breeds strength. This has been done. There was even some videos of this. There have been people that made videos of this. This was something that used to get done. I find it terrifying. I've always been of the firm belief that if you give somebody something and they don't know that you're doing it, it's like you know what, of the mind, right? It's like SAing someone's mind. But yeah, that was done. That crap went on, especially back when before they made LSD illegal. I mean, a lot of people don't realize, but acid was legal up until I think it was the early 70s, right? Somewhere in there. Yeah, no, this is so Shine Barrows doesn't there's no allegedly here, right? Shine Barrows came out and said, he went to he took the ride because it was going to be good for his country, and allegedly when he got out, he was given a record deal, right? And allegedly LA Reid, I think it was, who gave him a record deal for, X number of albums for, millions of dollars. He's never made one of the albums, and they've never tried to collect on it, which sniffs a little bit like a payout, but, one person's payouts, another person's whatever. Kind of looks funky, but who am I to say, right? Who am I to say? It's, but it kind of looked that way. Let's see this here. Late to the boat. Sorry, y'all. Have two questions. One related to drugs and one not. Just saw a video of Diddy and his mom sharing an IV drip. Yeah, it's an interesting question. Here's the thing. So you can get an IV for a lot of reasons, right? Here in Arizona, there are companies that will come out and run IV fluids because people get really, really dehydrated really easy. There are services in the U.S. where you can pay somebody to come out and give you IV fluids. So it's not unheard of giving somebody IV fluids because they feel under the weather. And if you had a doctor on staff, having them run IV fluids because you felt a little peakish or under the weather or whatever, it's something somebody rich might do to show off or look cool, or maybe they believe in it. Who knows? But it's I don't know that necessarily means mom was that a freak off. I kind of doubt that, but it's not a good look, is it? Right? Because we all know now, from the little Rod lawsuit that absolutely after these freak offs, people were definitely getting these. Second question. With all of the illicit activity in the presence of minors, how did he escape getting CPS, Child Protective Services, called out on him? Neighbors even reported seeing underage girls coming and going all hours of the night. Well, I would say there's a couple of theories on this one, right? One is you can buy a hell of a lot of goodwill, right, with $700 million. I have a feeling that he owned a hell of a lot of law enforcement. Probably not going to be popular, but that's my theory. No question. Here's the other thing. Allegedly, there were ways to get people in and out of his place, right? There are a lot of tunnels underneath his house, allegedly. There's been some photos that are allegedly photos of the underground place that used to be a pool, and now there are tunnels that go off in different directions. And it has been alleged that his kids would help procure people for parties, and they would take them in and out through through those entrances. But I would say that with all of the illicit activity going on around kids, I would say that he threw a hell of a lot of money around to ensure that he was able to get away with the stuff that he got away with. And you know what? He didn't get away with it forever, right? The Diddy party stopped for a reason. I'm sure we've all seen the video of him saying, "Man, they ain't giving me any licenses anymore to throw any more parties. I'll probably get arrested over this," because he talks about it. That's actually it's aged well. Most videos that Diddy did have not aged well. This one aged beautifully. Check it out. This one is aged beautifully. That's the one you want to look at. Right? If there's one out there that just hits home, that's the one. The one that says, "I'm probably going to get busted." I'm probably going to get busted for throwing these parties. Right? That has aged well. There you go, my man. Right on the money. Right on the money. Nicola Mack, how you been? Thank you. Wasn't his mom his mother a lady of the night? You know something? Honestly, I couldn't answer that, and I wouldn't want to. But no, Cindy Plumley, no problem. We're good. So yeah, his mother might have been a woman of the night. I know for a fact his dad died when he was very young. His dad was allegedly, his dad was an enforcer for a organization that sold H, that stuff that I used to be addicted to in Harlem. Allegedly, his dad snitched on some people. The people he snitched on didn't take to it nicely, and for that reason, they snuffed him out, allegedly. And that's the story. Now, Diddy tells a different one, right? But that one seems to have more teeth. Wow, Jonathan Audie testified before the grand jury. That's the dude from the Doral incident. Yes, it is. And he had a lot of interesting things to say, right? I was not aware of the fact that he testified before the grand jury. Interesting, because Jonathan Audie's a fun guy. He really is. And a great example. I don't know if you brought this up because I was talking about videos that aged beautifully, because that one aged beautifully too, didn't it? He basically said he was a sex slave. Basically nothing. He said he was a sex slave, right? No basic about it. You know what, Dee Razzle Dazzle? I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to tell you why. There's such a stigma, right, for a man to say that he was ard, right, by another man. There's just a stigma about that. That's a very difficult thing, and it would come off different, right? It would also come off as if he was somehow complicit in it. And I'm not you. Before any of you lose your mind, you can't be complicit. You can't consent. But you just have to understand what would be going through the kid's mind, right? The level of shame that he's probably putting up with, if this is not his cup of tea, and this is something that happened, because it's a record label thing, right? If this is really allegedly what happened, I can't imagine coming forward. It would be awesome, but the abuse that people are cruel, man. I mean, trolls are. God help us. Can you imagine what the trolls would do to him? It's I can't see anybody coming forward and admitting that. It's sad, but on the bright side, maybe this won't be an issue, because maybe justice will prevail, and we won't need to drag anybody that went through this through it again. Copper Top says, will they need a minor to come forward so he doesn't get off on consenting adults? Well, a whole bunch of minors have alleged that this has happened. The lawyer in Houston, 120 people came forward. I believe he said 40 of them, somewhere in there, were underage. A lot of them were underage, all male, all boys that were underage. The youngest of whom was 9. Now, these things, I don't care how that gets settled. An NDA would do nothing. You understand? Right? That's against the law. An NDA can do nothing for that. These things are all going to get investigated. And if those allegations are true, then he is in so much trouble. And you understand that they can add to it, right? There could be a superseding indictment. They'll re-indict him. They'll indict him on something new. This happens all the time. All the time. When you're in the jail, right? The fellas call it an ad book. An ad book. Piece of paper comes under your cell at night. You go, oh, shit. Right? You look down, guaranteed. It's an ad book. They found something else on you. Here's a new crime. Comes underneath the door. Sometimes 3, 4 of them listed on one piece of paper. Ad book. Terrible stuff. Terrible stuff. But in this guy's case, there's going to be a lot of it coming. And for all of you that say, man, I really expected a lot more people to get I expected a lot more people to get arrested on this, right? I expected a lot more people to get brought in this, right? I expected a lot more. Be patient. Be patient. Just like when the feds kicked in the doors and people were freaking out, right? You know, why aren't they arresting him, man? They're going to let him walk. They're going to let – no. They're not going to let him walk. We're going to see more people, right? We're going to see more people. This is a RICO, right? RICO's not a one-man deal. Trust and believe there's more coming. Jaguar Wright did an interview that there are whispers in the community that Diddy's mom is actually his aunt. You know something? Once again, I love her, right? I love Jaguar Wright. I do. I can watch her do interviews all day long, actually, unless she's eating. The interviews she does where she's eating, I can't watch it. I really can't. It's foul. No reason to watch somebody eat while they're doing an interview. That's just rubbing. But all the other interviews that she does, I dig it. Hey, Britt, good to have you here. But I don't know that I can buy into all of it, man. And I'll tell you why. Because the stories just keep getting better, right? And that's always indicative to me of I mean, I'm not suggesting that everything this woman says isn't true, but I'm suggesting that the more often she does it, the better she gets at delivering it. And if she gets a response on something that's really great, then she might push that truth a little bit more. You follow me? And I think it's gotten to the point where, I don't know, man, I used to really believe a lot of what she said. And these days it just seems like she's such a great performer that it's hard for me to get a beat on whether or not I believe this woman or she's just putting on a hell of a show, you know, and then making hay while the sun shines, right? Because for real, she's been talking about Diddy for a long time. This is her Super Bowl, man, right? She's been talking about this cat for, what, a decade. She's been railing about what a piece of crap he is long before anybody else did. I'll give her that. I will give her that. You know, she's one of the founding people to really out this fool. But unfortunately, I think that she's really getting into it, and it's getting a little harder. So I don't know what to say about that. I really don't. I wish that there was a way that it would be easier, you know, to figure it out, because there's just so much out there. Have you heard about the horse tranks that have been found in the victims that went to be tested? Absolutely. And I have talked about this drug on my channel, and for so many times I can't tell you. This is a mixture of an opiate, usually fent, right? But it could be this newer version of the most powerful opiate on the streets today is iso and phytonidazines. It's a completely different drug. It's cheaper to make, and we're seeing a lot of it. It's showing up all over the U.S. It's showing up in other countries as well. It's really cheap, and it's really strong. It's actually stronger than fent. And they mix it with something called xylazine. And xylazine is a tranquilizer used for equine and bovine use, right? Horses and cows. Lovely, right? And we're gonna mix that with an opiate that's, say, 200 times stronger than morphine, right? Mix it up and inject it. What could possibly go wrong? I mean, you want to talk about two rugged respiratory depressants? It's a hellacious drug, and it has killed, that I know of personally, 3 of my friends. People that were people on the lifeboat that were fighting to try to stay sober and doing the best they could, and that stuff killed them. And it is the #1 cause of death in the United States of America today, right? Between the ages of 18 and 50, the number one cause of death in this country is drug overdose. I'm not making that up. You can look it up. It's terrifying, but it's true. So I'm not surprised that this is what was found in their bodies, and I'll tell you why. Because this drug most often is pressed into a pill, right, that says M30 on it. It is a knockoff of a Percocet 30. That's what it's supposed to look like, is a Perc 30. And these Percocet 30s, hold on one second. Yeah, so they look like Perc 30s, right? So according to everybody, allegedly, Diddy's been addicted to opiates for decades. And, he wasn't probably out buying smack, right? He's not going to be out doing street dope, right? This is a guy with all the money in the world. So what he was doing was the strongest stuff that you could still get, because Oxycontin 80s and all those are pretty much off the market. So he was doing Perc 30s. You can still, crush those up, snort those, smoke those, whatever you want to do with them, right? That's still, and it's oxycodone, right? The same thing as a Percocet. It's just a time-released Percocet. So that's what I think the cat was doing. And if you run out of them and you can't find them, you go to the street to buy them, I promise you're not getting real Percocets. Those days are over, right? So they were probably buying street Perc 30s and getting trank. Sadly, there's a lot of it out there. There is a lot of it out there. It's killing people. It is dangerous as all hell, man. I promise you. New to the lifeboat. Welcome, Rosemary Baker. Great to have you. Welcome to the boat. You know something, Purple Groovy? Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Honestly, Diddy's not sick. He's twisted. Sick makes it sound like there's a cure. And you're right. This guy's got bad freaking wiring, and I don't think there's any coming back from it. That's the truth. Thank you, Purple Groovy. Honestly, I stand corrected. You're right. Question: would the misuse of drugs and drugging people alone be enough to send him away in the feds? No. But the fact that he did it in a bunch of different places, the fact that he flew people across state lines to do it, yeah. But if you did it in one place, no, it wouldn't be, right? But he wasn't doing that. He had a jet. He was flying people all over the country and doing it, right? And I'll tell you that it's as interesting to me, some of the stuff that we haven't seen him charged for, because those right, the pews with the obliterated serial numbers, right? That right there is a crap load of time, right? They would go away for a very, very long time for that. And the fact that they're not even bothering to charge him for that, I think says a lot about the case that they got. I think it says that the case that they got is bulletproof. You follow me? I am rarely catching lives because I live in the UK, but one of these days I'll email Tommy to thank him properly for how he helped me with my food addiction that I didn't even realize it was an addiction. Anka, what a beautiful thing to say. You know what? I love that. I really do. I love that, man. Congratulations. We're all in the same boat. Make no mistake. We are all in the same boat. Yeah, Rosemary, it's a pretty cool crew. It's a pretty cool crew. I think you will find everybody here is pretty cool that way. You're right, Spike. He's a sadist and he's a sociopath. And there's something so sick about everything about this man, right? Really, he's a monster. He's an absolute monster. And here's the thing. I don't think he was born a monster. Don't get it messed up. He was born a really, really twisted individual. But I think he was made a monster by the people that did to him what he's doing to other people. And I think it's been going on like this for a really, really long time. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. All of the news on Diddy that's on all of the television stations, the guys in the feds are watching that every day. And a bunch of them have girlfriends or wives on the street that are saying to him, man, you won't believe the stuff I'm reading online. And they'll say, yes, send it in. They could print it off and send it in to them. So, yeah, they know a lot about what's going on. There's also tons of guys that subscribe to newspapers that they get every day. So they have a pretty good idea, all magazines. So, I mean, they're not as up on it as we are, but absolutely they know what's going on. You know what? That's frightening. See that? See that? There's more than one of them. Yeah, there's more than one of them. I've said this before, but there's some kind of virus going around that's starting to eat people's brains. Look at this. Jeremy Shelton thinks that Caddyshack 2 is better than Caddyshack 1, and apparently Chow Yun Smut believes that Grease 2 was better than Grease 1. So it does go to show you that, like the mad cow thing that was going on for a while, it's starting with people, and it's scary, folks. I mean, you're seeing the effects of it now, and that's frightening. And I do mean frightening. Sacrilege, says a Tribe Called Duff. Yeah, I get it. No question. No question. Hey, Barbie Hall, stick around, please. I've done a lot of shows on that subject in particular. I'm glad you found the boat when you did. This is I talk about cases like this all the time when they're exciting and when they're federal. I really get into it. But make no mistake, what we do here is we try to help people live their best lives. And for some people, that means eating less. For some people, it means doing less dope. For some people, it means not snorting stuff. It's different for everybody, right? It really is. But we're all in the same boat in that if once you realize that these things are symptoms of something else, you're not eating the way you're eating just because you want to eat. You're eating because it makes you feel good. It releases chemicals in your brain that are making you happy, which is not a whole lot different than sticking a straw up your nose or sticking a needle in your arm or doing any such thing that makes you feel comfortable in your own skin. And I promise, stick around because we talk about that a lot. Hold on one second. Too many criminals are given a free pass due to abuse. Many of us suffered. You know something? No, don't get it messed up. I'm not giving this fool a break. Don't get it messed up at all. What I'm saying is this industry has sucked since the very beginning, and they all do it to each other. This is what I was talking about, where if allegedly half of what they're talking about is real, then there's nobody that gets a record label deal. There's nobody that gets a big contract anywhere in that sleaze part of the world without saying, all right, you're gonna have sex with me, right? Or you're gonna perform this, or you're gonna perform that. Whether you're the same sex, whether you're the opposite sex, it doesn't matter. And we're gonna film it, right? It's about control. It's about control, and it's disgusting, man. And if a third of it's true, if a tenth of it is true, it's crazy. Manuel Lubin says, yeah, former Gene Deal, former bodyguard, agrees with you. He said he was not born that way. Well, you know what? I think, I'm not suggesting he was born normal, because I think that this guy's got a tremendous number of screws that are so loose. I mean, we're talking about bad wiring. I think truthfully, is not the kind of guy you could help. But I certainly think he was molded into what he has become. Cindy Plumley says, did anybody die at these things that they could cover it up? You know what? My question would be, how is it possible that no one would have? I mean, if what they're alleging is true, the amount of this that is being, hey, Robin Miners, the amount of this that has been going on, and the amount of GHB and the amount of ketamine and the amount of ecstasy, all the stuff that they're dumping into people's drinks and spiking stuff, and there's thousands of people, right? I mean, holy hell. The odds that somebody didn't pass is pretty damn slim. If I had to put money on it, I would say me. Joanne Ventrella says this is similar to what Jose Menendez was doing to young boys like the band Menudo back in the day. And I'll tell you something. Whatever happened with those kids, this is there's smoke there, right? There's fire there. There's a kid that says he was absolutely essayed by Jose Menendez. That is definitely something that has come out. But again, it seems like this is a friggin' epidemic of absolute massive proportions, right? It's almost like, okay, find me a part of this industry that's not doing this, right? For real. For real. It's being alleged that everybody at some level, and I'll tell you something, the way they're all running like hell from this, I mean, running like hell, I'm telling you, Kevin Hart, man, stand up and say, yeah, he's a friend of mine. right? I didn't do anything wrong. Hung out at his parties. He's a friend of mine. No, you ran like hell, right? It's like he never met the guy. Did he who? Sean Puffy what? I don't know who you're talking about. Really? Because you guys were thick as thieves, man. You didn't miss a party. Now they ask him questions and he yells, wrong question, wrong guy. Huh? That's his comeback now, right? Wrong question, wrong guy. Oh, you don't know him now, huh? Huh? Now you don't know him. There's a lot of people that don't know him, right? LeBron James. LeBron, why aren't you speaking out for victims? Huh? I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Yes, okay. Fair enough. Caroline in Canada says, comment, Tommy, you're killing me with Yaz. Please switch to the BGs for me and Jeremy. Fair enough. Fair enough. I get that. That's legit. That is legit. And I can do that. I absolutely can do that. If I'm just running through this, yeah, you have my word. Pick a movie Hollywood manifested this reality we pay for. You know what? I agree with you. You know what? Stop. I'm with you. I'm not paying anymore, man. I'm not giving him anything. I'm disgusted by it. I really am. I'm disgusted by it. I know your eyes in the morning sun. All right, here we go. Tommy, thoughts on Michael Jackson? You know something? I think Michael Jackson. This is my opinion. Right? Just here you go, people. I'm not saying this is a fact. Tommy's opinion. You catching this? My opinion. My opinion is his father chemically castrated him. That's what I think. I think his father was giving him stuff as a kid to keep his voice the way it was. I think his entire youth was stolen from him in a way that nothing else could be. And it has left him in a vicious. Hold on a second. Sorry. You know what? I get low lives. I get a text message that says, I need you right now. You know what? When I do this for work, that's a big deal. And it's somebody trying to get me to vote for somebody. I am very, very unhappy with that. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not voting for that person. Very, very unhappy. P. Taylor. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. I think that Michael Jackson was. I don't think he had any interest in kids. If you want to know the truth, I don't think he had any interest in sex. I don't think that part of his brain even existed. I'm sorry, I don't. And I think that he was a prime target for lawsuits. I just don't believe that. It's my opinion. And you can think I'm an idiot, but I don't think. And I've heard other people that knew the guy really well that said he didn't have a capacity for it. You know, it's not something that. You know, I think that the guy, he built a freaking amusement park in his backyard. I think that all he wanted was a youth and he never got it. You can feel free to disagree with me on that, but that's kind of where I'm at on that, you know, but it's any way you shake it, it's disgusting. It's disgusting that this is real life Peter Pan syndrome. I think that kind of existed, and there's a part of me that my heart bleeds for the guy. Honestly, but who knows, right? Because we don't know, and we're not gonna. But I'll tell you something. If you need propofol to go to bed, right? If you literally need to have somebody give you anesthesia so that you can go to sleep at night, you got a messed up world, right? The world you live in is messed up. 365 days a year, I want you to knock me out like I'm going in for surgery. What in the name of God, right? Are you running from? What are you running from? Because that is awful, right? Awful. Yeah, you know something? Yeah. Whether the allegations were true or not, excusing his actions if he did, another victim of the industry norms. It's, you know, he is it's a really sad case all the way around. But I'll tell you something. It's hard because of how all of that went down. It's a very, very different case than what we got here, right? This was what we got today. There is enough stuff to go through on this where I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of ambiguity. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of true, not true, question, not question. I think that there's going to be enough evidence on Sean Diddy Combs. That, and by the way, all people involved, right? All people involved. This is not a one-man show. In order to put these things on, these alleged freak-offs required a whole mother-loving army of people to make them happen, right? From hiring the professional sex workers, right, to getting the place cleaned up, right? Brandy Cope nails it. I think this here pretty much settles it, right? He is not ever coming home. I would say that he has breathed his last free air, people. I really believe that that is the case. And I'll tell you something. Allegedly, I got an email from somebody. And I'm in the process of trying to. I get a lot of ridiculous emails. You got to understand this. I really do. I get a lot of really ridiculous emails. But every once in a while, I get one that that may not be BS, right? And I'm in the process of tracking one down. And if this person is not full of, if this person is real, we're going to have some stuff to talk about. Because there's somebody that has reached out that purports to know this person and knew this person in the last, say, 5 or 6 years of his life. So this ought to be, but it won't be the first time that someone has reached out with this, so we will see. But people, I'm going to take off. I have a cat to play with. Look at this. I'm on strike for days. I'm getting a little unhappy with her, to be honest. But I will be back between now and the next time that we see each other. Reach out and try to save somebody. And if you're struggling with something, right? Get a look at the other content we do here when I'm not talking about this stuff, right? Seriously, we talk an awful lot about living your best life. It's really what we focus on here, all right? All right, people, I'm Tommy Scoville. I will see you on the next one. God bless.